Welcome to your podcast, Unlock Your Relational Capital. Today we're going to be with Maria and Caroline. Maria, you're a senior manager at Hopscotch in strategy consulting, and Caroline, you're a partner specialized in social listening. We're going to be discussing today the topic of know. This is our first pillar, a pillar that is very crucial for relational capital. Knowing your ecosystem is the very basic today of any marketing or communication strategy. I would like to leverage on that to go a little bit further, but before starting, we have a little surprise for you. Please watch here.
Je m'appelle 𝗵𝗫𝗃, je suis artiste-chercheuse en recherche-création à l'université Paris 1 Panthéon-Sorbonne et je travaille autour de la sculpture de données. Il y avait une sorte d'envie commune de mener un projet artistique en parallèle du projet de recherche qui porte sur la visualisation des relations et leurs impacts au sein des écosystèmes, au sein des organisations. C'est une vision d'artiste sur les crises que traversent parfois les marques. C'est une vision qui va se concentrer sur certains aspects, en tout cas, qu'on retrouve quand on est face à une crise sur les réseaux sociaux. Ce que je retiens des 3 ans chez Hopscotch, c'est à la fois une diversité de métiers, c'est beaucoup de transversalité, beaucoup d'approches que je ne connaissais pas. Et donc, il a fallu que je me familiarise un petit peu avec tous ces champs au sein du groupe qui m'étaient totalement inconnus, puisque je viens des métiers des arts plastiques et pas du tout des métiers de la communication. Le capital relationnel, ça a été mon terrain de recherche pendant 3 ans. Ce travail autour de Maelstrom, c'est la façon dont on se réapproprie des dynamiques conversationnelles, les manières qu'ont les gens de discuter sur Internet, sur les réseaux sociaux. Finalement, c'est une œuvre qui s'adresse à tout le monde parce que tout le monde est concerné par les réseaux sociaux.
Thank you. We wanted to start with it because obviously this is an avant-première where we finally were able to show the final thesis of Alessia. So it's a good opportunity today to discuss it. So now I'm going to ask you, what does a maelstrom mean to you?
I feel like Maelstrom shows that our actions online have an actual existence. We leave physical traces. When we go online, it has an impact, a physical existence, like in data centers, but it also has an impact on the ecosystem we work on, the people we send messages to, and the debates we choose to join. So I feel like Maelstrom really makes this tangible and really reminds us that what we do online actually has an impact in real life.
I couldn't agree more, actually. Especially as a consultant, we are used to see data from data sheets, right? And what we forget is that ecosystems are actually dynamic and are real, right? The way that she made it tangible, it's so empowering. It's kind of a metaphor, but I find that it reflects a map of influence from a tangible and real-life perspective, which not only helps us identify all these communication nodes or where these conversations are taking place and how do they relate with each other, so identifying these stars, but also the gravity among them, and that is the intensity and the quality of these interactions.
How did you bridge with such a different approach? I mean, she's an artist, you were a data consultant and analyst.
Yeah, it wasn't evident at first. To be honest, I was kind of skeptical when she arrived within the team. We deal with data, like real life data that we see online. Every day, on a daily basis, we monitor our clients' reputation. That's the human-to-human expertise. We create reports and we compile those in graphs and sometimes very arid and long reports that we find fascinating and are really insightful, but they are not really visual. And then you have this creative person that has done amazing work. It took some time, to be honest, to really find a way to work together. But one thing that we do, and that's kind of the most visual aspect of our work, influencer and online debates mapping, those are instantaneous photos of a debate at a particular moment in time, and you see the forces in action and you see how they talk to one another, especially it can be in times of crisis, but it can also be during an event or a particularly visible moment in news. Alessia stumbled upon it kind of by accident because I was giving a talk at Hopscotch explaining what we've done. And she came back to me just after the talk and she was really interested. So we decided to build on that idea of how we can map and represent crises in a different way. We had to work together to reproduce every element of what constitutes an online debate. It can be the number of people taking part in it, the number of users, their influence, the speed at which an information can be spread, the sentiment, of course, the influence of an account. We gathered that. That was kind of the bucket list. Here's everything you need to do to reproduce that kind of online debate.
And the dynamic?
Yeah, of course, the dynamic aspects. And that's really what she achieved, actually, because everything we do, like the reports, are kind of fixed in time. What she has managed to do is add another layer, a dynamic layer, that really shows the transformation of the ecosystem during a particularly intense time in conversation. And it really shows as well that our work has an impact. We as communication professionals can help our clients leverage their reputation and move through the ecosystem and really transform it also. So I'm really grateful to have met Alessia and to have worked with her, because she materializes a work that can be sometimes a bit arid for people who are not used to it. But also she shows that we have a role to play in making these ecosystems move.
Exactly, and I like something that you mentioned, because of course this is a dynamic relationship that a brand have with all the audiences or the groups of segments that interact with the brand, but it helps us not only manage this reputation of the brand, but also from a marketing perspective, it helps us untap new opportunities. And I'm saying that because it brings us unexpected views and it brings us other angles that we might not be considering from doing business as usual, right? So it untaps new conversations that might be emerging in the market, linking different segments which we might not be considering at the moment. So we need to bear in mind that every single trend, it's not something that happens all of a sudden in the market. It's something that starts and grows little by little, communication upon conversation, right? So if we are able to identify these unexpected conversations from an early stage, we can really capture this opportunity and we can really work on it from a creative angle, from an innovative angle with our brands.
Yeah, completely. I completely agree. Our job is to find the blind spots, because oftentimes you will have a client that will maybe focus on one community in particular or one part of its ecosystem that it knows and is comfortable with, but might not consider whole communities that they ignore, don't know exist, or don't want to deal with, or don't know how to deal with. And our role is to say, hey, look at that, someone's talking about you. Maybe we can help you address them. And that's our role, the consultant's role, of course.
Let me just put an example, for instance. So we work with destinations, right? So when promoting Florence, for instance, one might think, okay, I might look from people looking flights to Florence or people interested already in art history, right? So the funny thing about it, or what I can relate to Alessia's work, is when analyzing the conversations regarding Florence and regarding all the territories of the destination, it was interesting to realize that there was a really growing and powerful conversational node that was really engaged with the architecture of Florence, the Duomo, and we're not really looking for flights, we're not really even within the tourism landscapes. They were gamers and they were people playing Assassin's Creed, right? They would know the streets better than any local, they would really be attached to the destination already. So actually that was capital sitting over there, ready to be exploited, right? But if you would not have looked to that part of the online conversation, you would not have realized about that. So you listen to the conversation, you align your activations to their needs and interests. In this particular example, you develop theme routes for them to feel like they are playing Assassin's Creed in Florence. So it's something that really connects you better with your audiences and really strengthens this emotional connection.
It's really exciting because it means that there is almost infinite possibilities for a new narrative sometimes, also for decision makers to, I don't know, to propose something different all the time, almost depending on, of course, what type of ecosystem you would like to tap in. But apparently, there is a volume of data here that you guys are actually dealing with. How does maybe AI help you in considering this volume of data?
Absolutely. I think that without AI, I don't know about you, but it would be really challenging to deal with everything. I think that the trick, though, is that we need to move, or we are evolving from big data, which is, okay, give me all the data. AI models, the challenge here or the danger here is that if they are fed with irrelevant information, they might come out with irrelevant solutions or irrelevant, misleading solutions, right? So to be able to identify and to work with the key relevant information is what really brings value as a consultant.
I would say though that tying real life events, world news or actions to that of our client, this insight on how to really set up the AI in the right way and tell it to look in the right direction, that's still something that the human consultant does better than the AI.
Yeah, because there is still a connection, and this is also what I like about this debate and the fact, this conversation, the fact that we are still commenting Alicia's work. Something else is happening in real life, right? So it's about also creating events, creating moments also where this intensity can actually appear or needs to appear sometimes. Is it surprising for you that this amount of data and the strategy that you put behind analyzing everything and giving it a specific shape also finally shows you that all of it is very organic?
We usually say that we cannot measure what we cannot see. So now we are actually getting to see more of these organic conversations, more of these more intangible informations or KPIs or indicators that are very much relevant for our brands and that actually are the center of their strategies. So if we can actually get to measure them and identify these pillars, we can actually build more robust strategies for our brands as well.
And then you have Alicia's work also shows you the organic side of, as you said, the organic side of communities, and new communities are born every day and sometimes they just last a few days. So it's really important to follow that closely.
Thank you, Maria and Caroline, for joining us for the Unlock Your Relational Capital podcast. Today with the pillar know, we wanted to hear you and to listen to your recommendation how we actually leverage on knowing our ecosystem to build new opportunities for our client. And I think the fact that you shows us the real state today of the art, meaning that we need to understand how ecosystems are moving, we need to understand what they're talking about and what are their aspirations, also to build sustainable and maybe long-term, even more long-term content for those communities. Thank you.